Okay, a couple reminders. Last week's assignments, you want to make sure those are turned in because we're going to be putting those in the grade book soon. There is a grade check coming up on Friday for UIL, so if you're in something like UIL related, sports, visual arts, whatever, stuff like that, okay? So, make sure you got your grades where you want them. Okie dokie. So, couple things, quiz today, test Thursday, UIL grade check is coming up. Make sure you turned in last week's warm-up. Make sure your name is on it, okay? If you ever get one back or you need to find some warm-ups, they're always on Google Classroom, posted there with the videos going over everything, okay? So, number one. Now, I know this is kind of small. I'll try to zoom in so you can see it. You don't have to write everything, mainly just the answers, but I want you to hear what I'm saying because your quiz is very similar to this. Number one, can you find a root? Now, we've talked about this many times, but a root has three other names. So what else can you call a root? A solution. What's another one? Zero. Does that sound familiar? A root is a solution, is a zero, and those all mean the same thing. They are x-intercepts. So if you see root or zero, that's asking you, where does it cross the x? So look right here. This graph crosses the x-axis right here. Y'all see that red dot? Okay, that's where the graph crosses x. You can call that an x-intercept or a zero or a solution or a zero. Zero root solution x-intercept. Okay, but here's the deal. Some of us know where it is, but we write it wrong. That is not a positive 2. Does everyone see that's to the left of 0? Okay, the answer is not A. It's not positive 2. It's C, negative 2. Right? That's what you can put for your warm-up. So on your quiz, could you find a root solution 0 x-intercept of a graph? Just look where it crosses x. Cool? Okay, number 2. Now, you're trying to tell me, looking at this graph, you're trying to tell me, based on this graph, what the domain and range is. Now, domain is which letter, X or Y? Anybody? Domain is X or Y. Okay, X, so X is from left to right. So look right here. The furthest to the left is this point right here. This is shaded in, right? So if I go straight down, that number is negative 1. So if I look at my domain, negative 1. The only one that doesn't have negative 1 is this one. Do you see how B cannot be the answer? Because it starts off with a positive 1. Can't be B. Now let's look at the inequality. So that point is shaded in, right? You see how that's not open circle? So that means your less than sign needs to be underlined. So is this first inequality underlined? No. Is this first inequality underlined? No. Do you see how letter D is the only one that has the right number, negative 1, and the right inequality underlined, okay? Because this is like a shaded in circle. Now let's keep going. It goes all the way to the right. The x value here is 3, and it's open. So 3 not underlined is open, so this is good right here, okay? Now let's look at the range from bottom to top. At the bottom, this y value is -4, and it's open, so that would be -4 with no underline. And that's right. And then it goes all the way up to +4, shaded in, so that's going to be 4 with an underline. D is correct in every way because we know, hopefully, domain is from left to right, shaded is underlined, open is not underlined, okay? You're going to have one very similar to this on your quiz today. Are there any questions on how to tell any of that? Left to right for domain, bottom to top for range. The endpoints will help you tell if it's underlined or not underlined of an inequality. So again, if you see an open circle, it's less than. If you see a shaded in circle, that's underlined. Okay. Number 3. Now, the assignment from last couple of days, you have to write this verbally. So this is testing our verbal skills. It says, what is the domain? Don't we know that domain is left to right? So look right here. This is at -4. The far right is at +2. So if you have your notes from Thursday, Friday, you would, and if you remember what we did, okay, we always start off with the phrase, all real numbers. So that's already there, all real numbers. And we always start with greater than, okay? We're trying to find what the bottom is, so we can say that the domain is all real numbers greater than, okay, it's greater than, and look, since this is an open circle, should I say equal to or no? Okay, so everybody, open circle means not equal to. So all I'm going to write is greater than, and then what x value is this? -4. So my domain, all real numbers, greater than -4, not equal, okay? And now you got to put less than. Now look, on the right side, this one is shaded in. So should I put equal to? Yes. Since it's shaded on the right, it's less than or equal to, and that value is the number 2. Okay. All right. So again, when you write it verbally, you start off with all real numbers, unless it's already typed out for you. You start with greater than, but you have to tell me, is it equal? Then you put the number that's the farthest on the left. Then you put less than, tell me if it's equal, and then the number on the far right. Very similar. Okay, last one. Look, you got to be able to do a word problem. You got to be able to read it and interpret it. It's going to keep coming up, so that's why we keep going over it. Let's read this. It says, a party room can be rented for $70 per hour. The room can be rented for either 1, 2, or 3 hours. The cost in dollars to rent the room is a function of the number of hours the room is rented. Okay? I know that's a lot of information, but let's read this. What is the domain? What are the domain and range of the function for the situation? Okay? Now look, there's a few things we know. This party room is $70 per hour, and you can only rent it for 1, 2, and 3 hours. So when they ask you what's the domain, do y'all think the domain is the 1, 2, 3 hours in time, or do you think the domain is the money times 70? Which one do you think is domain x values, time or money? So in the future, let me tell you something for the future every time, okay? Most, like 99% of the time. Can y'all look? I want to see more eyes. Look right here. okay? Time is usually x, okay? Because x is independent, x don't change for no one, and time does not change, right? Time is just trekking on, second by second, okay? So I'm telling you, time is usually the x value. So when this says we have hours or money, the hours needs to be your x value. And what are the hours? 1, 2, and 3. So guess what your domain should be? 1, 2, and 3, right? So letter A, answer A is not right because that has the time for the range, but time is a domain, x value, okay? So I think the best answer so far is B. However, let's think about C and D. C says all real numbers for domain, but this doesn't say it can be any amount of hours. It's only 1, 2, or 3. So it can't be all numbers, okay? So this is messed up because this is mixed up. It can't be all numbers, and it's definitely not all numbers greater than 1. It's not an infinite amount of time that you can rent it. It's only for 1, 2, or 3. So the best answer is B. Time is usually domain. Please remember that, okay? Especially if you have something similar to this, which I'm telling you will today, okay? So very important. Your quiz today, I show you these on purpose, very similar to your 4-question quiz, okay? You got to be able to do this stuff. So we're going to start this quiz. You need to make sure your phone is not on your desk or in your hand anywhere, no phone, okay? You don't have to turn it all the way off. You just got to put it in your pocket or in a bag, out of sight, okay? It's 4 questions. You'll turn it in. When you're done with your quiz, you can work on missing work, any of these 3 from last week, corrections, okay? So that's the plan for today. All right, here we go.